Wade stood beneath the warehouse time clock at 5:42 in the morning with both expensive work shoes split across the toes. The leather had opened where it met the soles. White socks showed through the right one. A reflective vest hung loose over the dress shirt he still wore beneath it, as though the warehouse might eventually notice he had once sold building products to men who carried clipboards instead of pallets. A scratched air handler carton waited on a blue pallet beside him. The supervisor held Wade's phone at arm's length and enlarged the photograph he had taken of the serial label. Too blurry. The number is visible. Not all of it. I wrote it on the return sheet. We need the label. Wade looked toward the loading doors. 3 workers had already moved past him with pallet jacks. The supervisor handed back the phone. Take it again. Wade bent toward the carton. The split in his left shoe widened. 41 days separated the family duty speech he gave me from the financial collapse that placed him beneath that clock. 41 days. Long enough for a lender to stop believing an invoice. Long enough for a municipality to ask who had actually supervised the project. Long enough for my father to learn that a serial number did not become complete because he spoke over the person checking it. But that morning came later. At the beginning, Wade still believed every system had a human being he could pressure into skipping one step. Usually, that person was me. I was carrying an air handler through an attic opening when his first project message arrived. The opening measured 22 inches between joists. The cabinet measured 21 3/4 after the access panel was removed. My apprentice pushed from below, while I pulled from inside the attic. Insulation stuck to the sweat along my forearms. The roof deck held afternoon heat from the previous day, even though the sun had barely cleared the neighboring houses. Rotate left, I said. The cabinet moved half an inch. Your left or mine? Yours. He shifted. The metal corner cleared the framing. We lowered the unit onto the support platform without touching the condensate line. That mattered. A polished cabinet could still fail if the drain pitched backward, if the return opening starved the blower, or if one support point carried more weight than the floor could hold. I checked the platform. Level. Fasteners seated. Clearance around the service panel. Then, I photographed the serial label before the unit entered the final position. Every real installation left a trail. Purchase order. Distributor invoice. Serial registration. Permit. Startup readings. Refrigerant charge. Airflow. Drain test. Inspection request. A homeowner could later forget which technician had stood in the attic. The system would not. My digital manifold cable hung from the side pocket of my tool bag. The rubber insulation had split near the connector. Copper shielding did not show yet, but attic dust collected beneath the torn edge. A replacement cable cost $116. I wrapped the damaged section with self-fusing tape after every job and stored it inside an old plastic lunch container. Wade once watched me repair the wrap at the duplex kitchen table. He taps the container with one finger. This is why you never build wealth. It keeps dust out. You maintain small things. It is a measurement cable. You think like a worker. The cable continued reading pressure within specification. Wade continued borrowing money. At 9:18, my phone vibrated against a roof truss. A photograph from him filled the screen. The new structure behind the duplex had cedar panels across one wall, dark lounge chairs still covered in plastic, and custom ventilation grills shaped to look older than the building. Wade stood in the center with Corinne. She wore white trousers inside an unfinished construction space. He wore a linen shirt with the sleeves folded. Across the photograph, he had written, "The Rowan Legacy Room." The project began as a hobby garage. Then it became a private cigar lounge. Then a consultation space for Corinne's luxury home organizing clients. Each new description justified another expense. Humidity-controlled cabinets, decorative lighting, imported chairs, custom grills, 2 premium variable speed HVAC systems, according to the invoices he later showed everyone. The message beneath the photograph read, Need you at the duplex after work. Mechanical review. Not please. Not are you available. Need you. My apprentice looked toward the air handler. Everything okay? Yes. I put the phone away. We connected the supply plenum. Checked voltage. Verified blower rotation. Poured water into the drain pan and watched it leave through the correct line. No leak. No standing water. No speech required. At lunch, I opened the email confirming my advanced heat pump certification. I had passed the exam 3 weeks earlier after studying on Saturdays for 2 years. Defrost logic. Low ambient controls. Inverter diagnostics. Variable refrigerant flow. The recognition breakfast was that morning. Helen had promised to attend. I arrived at the training center in a clean work shirt and sat beside an empty chair. At 7:04, she sent, "Your father needs peace today. Cedar appointment went wrong. You know how proud I am." Wade had scheduled the Cedar sample meeting after Helen told him the breakfast time. He said the project needed both of them because Corinne could not approve stain tones alone. My certification did not need witnesses according to him. The garage needed family unity. I received the certificate beside the empty chair. The training director shook my hand. A woman from another company took a photograph for me. Helen's paper cup remained untouched on the table because I had bought coffee for both of us. Wade posted Cedar samples that afternoon, building something the next generation will inherit. He did not mention my certification. Cody reacted to the post with 3 flame symbols. Brooke sent me a private message. "Congratulations!" Mom showed me the certificate photo after Dad's appointment. Brooke was 19 and lived in the lower half of the duplex while attending community college. She had learned to use private messages for anything Wade might reinterpret publicly. I replied, "Thank you," then returned to work. For more than a decade, I had maintained the duplex furnace without charging labor, replaced Helen's 2 window units, paid an emergency plumbing invoice after a supply line burst, repaired the rear garage receptacles where my tools were stored. Wade introduced Cody at family gatherings as the son who understood business. Cody wore clean branded shirts and appeared in every photograph. When the furnace failed after midnight, Helen called me. When water entered the basement, she called me. When Brooke's room lost power, Wade said he did not touch electrical systems and called me. Useful work belonged to the family. Recognition belonged to the person explaining it. I arrived at the duplex at 6:13 that evening. The original detached garage had been connected to the house by a newly framed passage. Cedar panels covered the interior wall. A glass humidity cabinet stood near the back beside 2 lounge chairs. Corinne walked toward me holding a fabric sample. "You came straight from work." "Yes." "You smell like insulation." "I was in an attic." Wade stood beside a printed project board. "Corinne means the buyer meeting requires a different presentation." "What buyer meeting?" "We may bring in a private partner." "For what business?" "The lounge creates a premium environment for design consultations." Corinne smiled. "Affluent people invest in experience." I looked toward the mechanical closets. "Where are the systems?" "Installed." "By whom?" Wade placed one hand on my shoulder. The gesture had always looked affectionate in photographs. Up close, it was directional. "You are here for the final review." I did not supervise this project. You advised me. I told you the existing electrical service needed review before adding equipment. Exactly. Mechanical guidance. That is not supervision. Corinne moved closer to the project board. The invoices list your company. I do not own an installation company under that name. Wade's hand tightened slightly. Technical distinction. No. Legal distinction. Helen entered carrying a tray of tea. Tessa, please do not begin with rules. I am asking who installed the systems. Your father has worked very hard. That was not the question. Wade removed his hand. Cody coordinated labor. Cody appeared from the passage, wearing a dark polo embroidered with Rowan. Climate and design. He looked clean enough to have avoided every opening in the ceiling. I handled the business side. Who handled refrigerant? He shrugged. Contract people. Which contractor? Dad has supplier contacts. I walked toward the first mechanical closet. Wade stepped into the passage. We need to discuss family position before you inspect anything. My contractor number is on the board. That license grew under my roof. My name is attached to it. I paid for your first tools. I repaid you. A father should not need invoices from his own daughter. I am asking for one. Helen placed the tea tray down too quickly. Cups rattled. Can we have one evening without treating each other like strangers? Wade turned toward her. Thank you. Then back to me. Your refusal would embarrass his family in front of people who respect us. I have not refused anything. I asked who installed the systems. You know what this project means. No. It protects the duplex. How? Income. There is no operating business. There will be. Cody folded his arms. You always assume something is fake because Dad did not let you control it. I asked for the permit. Repair girl with a state card. Wade did not correct him. Helen looked at the floor. Brooke stood in the interior doorway, holding a college textbook against her chest. Wade noticed me looking at her. If financing fails, I may have to sell. Helen inhaled. Brooke's fingers tightened around the book. There it is, I said. What? The housing threat. It is a financial reality. Connected to my license. Connected to whether you choose pride over family duty. Corinne adjusted one of the project board pages. You are approaching abundance from fear. I looked at Wade. Do not use my contractor number. His expression softened. The softness was never surrender. It meant he had selected a different weapon. You were given gifts, Tessa. A decent daughter does not ask whether serving her parents is billable. I did not say billable. You are making me ask twice. Helen touched my arm. Please. Brooke needs stability. Brooke said nothing. She had become the sentence everyone else used. I stepped away from Helen's hand. I need every invoice, equipment model, installer name, permit number, and startup record. Wade smiled as though I had agreed. That is the spirit. No, that is the review. He handed Cody the project board. Show her the invoices. The invoices were clean. Premium variable speed systems. Regional distributor name. New equipment. 2 compressor assemblies. 2 air handlers. Extended warranty. The supplier name looked familiar, but not from that manufacturer. I read the model numbers twice. One had been discontinued years earlier. What is wrong? Helen asked. I need to verify the chain. Wade took back the page. There is nothing to verify. Then it will be quick. He folded the invoices into his portfolio. The buyer visit is in 4 days. I need the site cleaned before then. Hire cleanup. You know which materials can be discarded. That part was true. Wet insulation, metal offcuts, refrigerant cartons, treated wood scraps, and packaging could not all be thrown into the same container. He wanted the area cleaned because the buyer might inspect the stored collateral. I agreed to separate the construction waste the following morning. Wade mistook procedure for obedience. At 7-Eleven the next day, I stood beside the construction dumpster wearing Alma Reyes's gloves. The leather had darkened from years of heat. The palms were smooth from copper tubing. One cuff still smelled faintly of flux and old coffee. Together, they weighed nearly a pound. Alma had taught me not to place my name on equipment my hands had not verified. She died 3 winters after arthritis forced her out of field work. Hector, her husband, gave me the gloves after the funeral. Use them, he said. She would hate a memorial that stayed clean. I lifted wet insulation from the dumpster. Before moving each layer, I photographed it in place. Date, time, project address visible in the frame. A torn compressor carton appeared beneath 2 cedar offcuts. One corner had collapsed from water. The label remained readable. Model number, supplier name, shipment code, gross weight class. The model had been discontinued 3 years earlier. The supplier operated outside the manufacturer's authorized territory. The weight code belonged to a smaller single-stage component, not the premium variable speed assembly listed on Wade's invoice. I did not call it proof. A carton in a dumpster could have come from anywhere. I photographed the surrounding insulation, pallet straps, and cut packaging, then placed the carton inside a separate contractor bag. The next layer held a packing slip fragment. Same supplier, different equipment description. A torn adhesive label had been placed over an older shipping panel. The residue did not align with the original factory border. Again, lead, not conclusion. I labeled each bag with the source location. Rear dumpster, lower east side. Beneath wet insulation. 7:16 a.m. Wade appeared in the passage wearing loafers. "What are you doing?" "Separating packaging." "You're photographing trash." "Yes. That is why everything takes you twice as long." "Which installer ordered this compressor?" He looked at the carton. "Supplier handled substitutions. This model was discontinued. Warehouses carry old stock. The supplier was not authorized for this manufacturer. You do not know every relationship. The carton weight does not match the invoice." His mouth tightened. "You are trying to create doubt." "I found doubt underneath your insulation." Kareen called his name from inside. Wade lowered his voice. "You are not going to destroy your mother's home over a cardboard box. I am going to verify what is attached to my license. Your license belongs to the family before it belongs to you." I removed Alma's right glove. The inside of my palm carried the pressure marks from the leather seams. "My license belongs to the work I accept." Wade's face changed. Not anger yet. Certainty. The certainty that parents could outlast refusal by repeating duty until the child became exhausted. "Finish cleaning," he said. "We will discuss gratitude later." He returned inside. I sealed the contractor bag. At 10:26, a financing email reached my personal account. I had never given the project lender that address. The subject line read, "Contractor confirmation required." Attached package, $58,700. Company owner, Tessa Rowan. Responsible installer, Tessa Rowan. Equipment guarantor, Tessa Rowan. Code correction responsibility, Tessa Rowan. My contractor number appeared beneath every section. The signature was copied from a permit I had filed the previous year. Same upward turn in the final letter. Same spacing between first and last name. No pressure variation. No fresh ink. At the bottom was a maintenance certification claiming I had inspected both systems. I was standing inside the refrigerated loading dock of a grocery warehouse when I opened it. Cold air passed through the worn knees of my work pants. My crew waited beside the roof access door. The self-fusing tape around the manifold cable had separated again. I held the connector in one hand, enlarged the signature with the other. My jaw locked. I pressed Alma's gloves between both palms until the stiff leather edges left temporary lines in my skin. $58,700. Attached to equipment I had not purchased. Installed by people I could not identify. Supported by a carton describing something smaller, older, and cheaper than the invoice. The facilities manager opened the roof door. "Ready?" I put the phone away. Lifted my tool bag. Yes. My voice sounded the way it did every morning. Steady, professional, useful. The rooftop unit had lost one heating stage. I discovered that before I let myself reopen Wade's financing package. The grocery warehouse roof was covered in a thin layer of frost. My apprentice carried the replacement contactor while I checked voltage at the disconnect. Correct supply. Correct control signal. One contact face had burned deeply enough to stop carrying load. The failure left a mark. Darkened metal. Heat at one terminal. An uneven voltage reading when the system called for the second stage. Real equipment did not require belief. It required measurement. I replaced the contactor, tightened each terminal to specification, and watched both heating stages start. Only after the facilities manager signed the service ticket did I return to the refrigerated loading area. The crew moved on to another roof. I stayed behind for 5 minutes, then 10. Cold air pressed through the worn knees of my work pants. A forklift alarm sounded beyond the insulated doors. I placed the financing pages on an overturned produce crate. $58,700. The number looked larger beneath warehouse lighting. Possible code corrections. Replacement equipment if the used systems failed. Permit review costs. Insurance deductible. Attorney consultation. Missed service calls. The manifold cable replacement I had postponed because $116 had felt irresponsible. I wrote the totals on the back of a discarded receiving sheet. My monthly income could carry ordinary problems. A failed compressor. A vehicle repair. A few weeks of reduced hours. It could not carry Wade's entire construction fantasy without changing where I lived, what I drove, and whether I could continue operating under my own contractor number. I calculated the number of emergency calls required to cover the financing balance. Not profit. Gross service revenue. Hundreds. Before fuel. Before parts. Before taxes. Before the hours spent correcting a project I had never touched. The pencils stopped between my fingers. I pressed Alma's gloves together. The leather edges left narrow red marks across both palms. For years, Wade had described every unpaid repair as gratitude. The duplex furnace, Helen's window units, Brooke's electrical problem, a leaking pipe, a midnight service call. When I agreed, the work proved I understood family. When I asked for boundaries, the same work became proof that I thought I was superior. Now my contractor number had become sacred because Wade needed somewhere to place the correction bill. Not my judgment, not my consent, only the number. A support platform could not safely carry an air handler because a homeowner ordered 2 technicians to lift harder. The weight required framing beneath it. A circuit required the correct conductor. A permit required an authorized contractor. A signature required the hand that owned it. My family had spent years treating reliability like an open structural member. They loaded one obligation onto it, then another. Every time it held, they called the structure strong enough for more. Nobody checked the floor. Nobody asked what happened when the person carrying the equipment needed somewhere to stand. I looked at my copied signature. Wade believed a family duty began wherever his own liability ended. That was not duty. It was load transfer without consent. The loading door buzzer sounded. I folded the receiving sheet and placed it inside my tool bag. Then I clocked out. At 1:12, I called the project lender using the number printed on the financing package. I did not accuse Wade. I identified myself, provided the contractor number, confirmed the project address, then stated that I had not signed the application, purchased the listed equipment, supervised the installation, or accepted correction responsibility. The representative asked whether I wanted to open a contractor identity dispute. Yes. She created a reference number. Additional releases connected to my contractor authority would be held while the lender requested author-gluten signature records, equipment invoices, delivery confirmation, permit information, contractor acceptance. The hold did not erase the balance. It did not decide who owed it. It stopped Wade from using my number for another release while the documents were reviewed. I saved the reference number. At 1:38, Wade called. You contacted the lender. Yes. You had no right to interrupt the project. My contractor number is on the application. That gives you responsibility. It does not create consent. You are playing with your mother's home. You put my name on financing. For the family. You copied my signature. He exhaled slowly, the sound he made before correcting someone he considered beneath him. Your license belongs to the family before it belongs to you, and a decent daughter would understand that without making her father ask twice. I held the phone away from my ear for a moment, not because he was loud, because the sentence carried 20 years of rehearsal. You need to send me the purchase orders, distributor confirmation, permit number, startup sheets, and installer information. I already sent invoices. I asked for the chain behind them. The supplier has been in business longer than you have, not as an authorized distributor for that manufacturer. You do not know every arrangement. The model on the carton was discontinued. Old inventory exists. The weight code does not match your premium invoice. You dug through a dumpster and decided you understand a development project. You told me to clear the waste. I told you to help. I am helping separate my license from work I did not perform. His voice rose. You are choosing paperwork over your mother. I am choosing not to guarantee equipment I have not verified. You sound like Alma. He meant it as criticism. Good. I ended the call. At 2:06, I drove to the duplex. Helen sat at the kitchen table with the financing package folded beneath a grocery circular. Brooke was at class. Cody's truck was not outside. Wade had left for a meeting with Corinne. I placed the amendment page in front of Helen. Her name appeared beneath mine. Secondary guarantor. Retirement income section completed. A signature at the bottom. Did you sign this? Helen glanced at the page. I signed something for the estimate. This makes you responsible if the contractor does not pay. Your father said it was permission to value the property. Did you read this page? Her right hand moved to her chest. The motion was immediate, palm flat beneath her collarbone. My heart is behaving strangely. I pushed my chair back. I'll call for medical help. No. Chest symptoms need to be checked. It happens when people upset me. I am not going to guess. I can call. She lowered herself farther into the chair. Do not bring strangers into this house. Then I'm stopping the questions. Her breathing slowed. Within less than a minute, she removed her hand and reached for the grocery circular. I did not call the reaction false. I was not qualified to diagnose her. I noticed only that the complaint appeared when I asked who signed the guarantee and faded when the question stopped. I moved the amendment into a clear sleeve. The lender will review the signature. Helen looked toward the hallway. You are going to make your father furious. He placed your retirement income beneath this project. He would never hurt me. Then the review should be simple. You do not understand marriage. You and Dad have been divorced for 6 years. That does not erase duty. No, it should erase his right to sign for you. She folded the circular in half. Families survive because somebody absorbs what cannot be discussed. Who taught you that? My mother. And who benefited? Her eyes narrowed. You always need to turn pain into a technical question. Technical questions have answers. People are more complicated. The signature is either yours or it is not. Her hand moved toward her chest again. I stood. I'm leaving. The hand stopped halfway. Helen looked at me as though I had abandoned her during an illness. I placed the lender's dispute number beside the amendment. You can call them directly. You do not have to answer me. She did not touch the paper. On the way out, I opened the rear garage. My tool cases still occupied one wall. Wade's cedar offcuts had been stacked in front of them. A new threat without words. The project had begun occupying the space where I stored the equipment supporting my income. I moved nothing. Photographed the obstruction, then left. Hector Reyes's radiator shop sat behind an auto parts warehouse in a building that smelled of heated metal, old coolant, and coffee burned onto a glass pot. He had cleared one corner of his workbench before I arrived. Brown paper covered the surface. Paper tags, twine, a marker. No questions about whether Wade loved me. No advice about forgiving Helen. I placed the contractor bags on the concrete floor. Hector looked at Alma's gloves. You using them? Yes. Good. We spread the packaging by source location. Carton first. Pallet straps beside it. Packing slip fragment. Protective corners. Wet shipping wrap. I photographed each item again after arranging it, but the original in-place photographs remained the source record. Hector lifted the carton label toward the bench light. Layered? Looks like it. You know? No. I know the adhesive border does not align with the factory print. He nodded. Then write that. Not altered. Not replaced. Misaligned adhesive residue. The size of the observation. I opened the manufacturer's public model page. The premium compressor model on Wade's invoice had stopped production 3 years before the invoice date. The carton model belonged to a lower capacity single-stage line. Published shipping weight, 78 pounds. Premium assembly on the invoice, 126. Hector placed both numbers on separate tags. Carton proves what? That this packaging described a smaller component. What does it not prove? That the component inside the project came from this carton. He nodded again. The work remained clean because Hector refused to let anger enlarge a fact. I called the manufacturer's public warranty department. The representative confirmed that the premium model had been discontinued. She could not identify a private purchaser. She could accept a written request concerning distributor authorization and serial eligibility because my contractor number appeared on the disputed financing package. I submitted. Named supplier. Invoice date. Manufacturer. Project region. Exact model numbers. The automatic response promised no outcome, only review. Next, I called the municipal permit office. I identified myself and asked whether any active mechanical permit had been authenticated through my contractor account for the duplex address. The clerk searched the account. No active permit. Any inspection request? No. Any equipment schedule accepted under my verified submission? No. She found 2 supporting pages attached to a general renovation inquiry. My contractor number appeared on them. The pages had not been submitted through my authenticated portal. They did not create a valid mechanical permit. I requested written confirmation limited to those facts. The clerk sent a standard account, history statement. No active mechanical permit. No authenticated application. No inspection request. The first official break in Wade's story was not dramatic. A blank space where a permit should have been. At 4:28, the manufacturer's regional department replied. The supplier named on Wade's invoice was not authorized to distribute that manufacturer's equipment in our territory during the invoice period. The response continued. The discontinued premium model could not have been represented as new authorized regional stock through that supplier on the stated date. It did not say Wade knew. It did not say what equipment had been installed. It broke the invoice chain. Supplier, manufacturer, territory, date, no connection. I printed the response at Hector's shop, placed it beside the carton label. The project had premium invoices and salvage weight. At 4:41, Cody entered the shop. He wore the Rowan Climate and Design polo. Clean collar. No dust. His eyes went to the packaging on the floor. Dad says you are stealing project materials. Construction waste he ordered me to remove. You are building a case against your own family. I'm verifying my contractor number. He says you froze the financing. I disputed my authorization. Same thing. No. Cody stepped around a pallet strap. You have always hated that Dad trusts me with the business side. He listed me as the contractor. Because you are the contractor. I did not install anything. You checked the project. I asked for invoices. You gave advice. Advice does not equal supervision. He looked at Hector. Family matter. Hector continued, sorting bolts by length. Cody lowered his voice. Brooke loses the duplex if Dad cannot finish. Did he tell you that? It is obvious. Did he tell you who signed the mechanical permit? He said permits were being finalized. There is no authenticated permit. Cody's expression shifted. Only slightly. Then hardened again. Technical delay. Who installed the compressors? Contract labor. Names? You are trying to make me responsible. I had not said that. The fear appeared before the accusation. Did Wade ask you to speak to inspectors? Cody looked toward the door. He asked me to explain project coordination. What did he tell you to say? Ask him. He left without answering. Hector waited until the door shut. Then he slid a heavy radiator cord toward the edge of his bench. I reached for the overhanging side. He stopped me with one finger and placed a steel support beneath it first. Alma never asked a person to prove love by becoming the missing brace, he said. He checked the support, then lifted. Family is not the person who asks you to carry the furnace. Family is the person who checks whether the floor can hold you first. If they keep adding weight after they see the joists bending, that is not loyalty. That is using your strength as permission. He set the cord down inside its supports. No promise about Wade. No prediction about Helen. Just a load placed where it belonged before anyone asked another body to hold it. At 5:16, I received another lender message. The disputed financing file contained no verified contractor acceptance uploaded from my account. The lender requested Wade produce delivery receipts, serial registrations, permit confirmation, startup documentation, proof of contractor consent. Additional equipment release remained suspended. I saved the message, then labeled the first evidence row on Hector's paper. Invoice chain. Name supplier not authorized. Model discontinued before invoice. Shipping weight inconsistent with premium assembly. Second row. Permit authority. No authenticated permit. No inspection request. No verified contractor submission. Third row. Identity. Copied signature. Contractor number used without accepted authorization. 3 rows. None required Wade to confess. At 6:03, my supervisor called. The project lender had contacted our company because Wade's financing package implied I operated through my employer. I explained the dispute. My supervisor asked for the exact serials before searching any company records. I did not have clear plate photographs yet. Then we wait, she said. Correct answer. No guessing from invoice models. No private archive search because a family member demanded speed. First, authorized access to the installed equipment. Then exact serials. Then a limited records request. At 6:28, Wade sent a photograph of the storage unit corridor. Gray doors. Fluorescent lights. Several boxed condensers arranged on carts. Cedar materials stacked behind them. His message read, Joint review Friday. Buyer, inspector, lender. You will attend as licensed mechanical partner and correct the confusion you created. A second message followed. Corinne will bring appropriate clothing. A third message appeared in the notification preview. Do not correct the model substitutions in front of the buyer. Once the release clears, we can reconcile the equipment schedule. I captured the preview before opening the thread. Wade's name, timestamp, and full sentence remained visible. When I opened the conversation, the message had been removed. I captured the thread again, showing the storage corridor photograph, followed by the message removed placeholder. I saved both images in 2 locations. I looked at the manufacturer response, the permit statement, the copied financing page. Wade believed my presence could repair a chain that had never existed. He was arranging every person whose approval he needed inside one concrete corridor, and he still thought I was coming to support him. Helen gave written permission for the mechanical inspection at 8:04 the next morning. She signed the access form at the kitchen table without Wade present. The municipal clerk had explained that a property occupant could request a safety review when equipment had been installed without a verified mechanical permit. The inspection would not determine ownership, financing responsibility, or intent. It would document what equipment physically existed, whether it presented an immediate safety concern, and whether the project records matched the installed units. Helen read the form twice. Her hand did not move toward her chest. This does not make me choose sides. It allows the inspector to identify the systems. Your father will call it choosing. He listed my number. She looked toward the rear passage. Cedar trim had been stacked against the wall. Fine sawdust covered the baseboard where Wade's project joined the original duplex. Will they make Brooke leave?
Not because of an equipment inspection.
You cannot promise that. No, I can tell you what this form does. Helen held the pen above the signature line. What happens if the systems are wrong? The inspector documents them. The lender reviews the financing. Any correction order goes to whoever is established as responsible. And if that is you?
I am documenting that it is not, she signed, then pressed the paper toward me. Do not humiliate him.
I placed the form inside a sleeve. I am not inviting an audience. Wade had already done that. At 9:30, Municipal Mechanical Inspector Dana Price arrived at the duplex in a city vehicle. No siren, no dramatic entrance. A clipboard, a flashlight, and a tablet in a thick rubber case. Helen met her at the front door. I remained outside until Dana confirmed the access form. You are the contractor whose number appears on the supporting sheets? The number is mine, the submission is not. And you are requesting documentation of installed equipment? Yes. Do not disconnect, open refrigerant circuits, or alter settings while I am present. Understood. Wade's truck entered the driveway before we reached the first mechanical closet. He stepped out without closing the driver's door. What is this? Helen folded her arms. I requested an inspection. You did what? Dana turned toward him. Sir, I am here under the occupant's written request to document installed mechanical equipment and apparent safety conditions. This is private property. Helen stood beside the open door. It is my residence. Wade looked at me. You brought the city into our home. I did not request enforcement. I requested equipment identification. You had no authority. Dana raised the clipboard slightly. I have the occupant's consent. You may remain outside the work area while I complete the inspection. Wade laughed once. Not because anything was funny, because he needed the statement to appear unreasonable. I developed this property. Helen said, You do not live here. The words stopped him longer than the inspector had. Dana entered the first mechanical closet. The installed air handler had a newer outer cabinet and older internal components. Dust patterns showed the service panel had been opened recently. 2 screw heads carried fresh tool marks. The condensate drain lacked the clean-out arrangement required by the equipment schedule Wade had attached to the financing file. Dana photographed the installation, then the serial plate. I stood far enough away that my body did not appear in the frame. She read the number aloud. I wrote it exactly. First unit. Manufacturer matched the invoice. Model did not. The invoice described a premium variable speed air handler. The install plate identified a discontinued 2-stage unit. Dana moved to the condenser behind the cedar partition. The access clearance was narrower than the manufacturer's published service requirement. Decorative screening blocked part of the coil face. She photographed the serial. Second number. Older production range. No startup label from my company. No commissioning sticker. No refrigerant record attached inside the service panel. Wade stood in the passage with both hands at his sides. The installer kept those records separately. Name? Dana asked. Independent crew. Company? I will provide it. Permit number? Being finalized. Dana entered the statement into her tablet. Not false. Not deceptive. Owner states installer information and permit number will be provided. The exact size of what she had heard. At the second system, the condenser cabinet carried one model number, while the compressor access panel showed markings from a smaller capacity component. Dana did not remove the compressor cover. That required a different scope and safe shutdown. She documented the visible labels. Do you need internal compressor access? Helen asked. Not today, Dana said. My purpose is to identify the listed equipment and determine whether an immediate hazard is visible. The equipment chain will be reviewed through records. Wade looked at me. You see?
Nothing dangerous. I did not say it was immediately dangerous.
You told the lender the installation was defective.
I told the lender I did not supervise it.
Same accusation.
No.
Dana photographed the disconnect. The breaker label did not match the revised equipment schedule.
She recorded that too. After 36 minutes, the inspection ended.
Dana gave Helen a receipt showing equipment identification completed.
Permit responsibility unresolved.
No authenticated contractor submission located under Tessa Rowan's account. Further document review required. No statement that the project was condemned. No order to vacate. No immediate removal. Wade read the receipt over Helen's shoulder.
This proves nothing. It proves the serials, I said.
You already decided what they mean. I have not checked them yet.
He pointed toward my tool bag. Then do not touch another part of my project.
I did not.
Dana closed the tablet case.
The recorded contractor dispute remains open. Future technical submissions should include verifiable installer and permit information. Wade looked at her. My daughter is abandoning work she agreed to supervise.
Dana did not argue.
Submit that statement through the permit review channel. His accusation had entered the same procedural queue as every other claim. No family advantage. No louder line. At 10:48, I returned to my employer's office with the exact serial photographs, Helen's access form, Dana's inspection receipt, and the disputed financing pages. My supervisor, Elena Park, called the records manager into the room. I placed the documents on the table. I need a limited search for these serials. The financing package claims I purchased or installed the units through my professional history. The records manager read the request.
We can confirm only what our company records show.
That is all I need. We cannot identify private occupants in a release. Redact them. We cannot state that no other contractor worked on the equipment. Understood. Elena opened the internal records request form. Purpose: contractor identity dispute. Search scope: exact equipment serials. Request fields: purchase history, installation history, service history, removal or disposal history, no customer billing, no unrelated property information. The records manager assigned a request number before opening the archive: ER 4418. She entered the first condenser serial. One result: a removal ticket from a rental property scheduled for demolition 18 months earlier. The customer name remained hidden in the preview, but the company work order showed serial scanned at removal. Equipment condition: used. Compressor operational with high accumulated hours. Disposition: transferred to property owner's salvage contractor. No installation into Wade's project. Second serial: a service history from another rental building. Multiple repairs. Blower replacement. Drain overflow. Final removal after property renovation. Disposition: released to building owner. The company had not sold or installed it afterward. Third serial: no record. Fourth: a prior repair call, 5 years old. No purchase history through my employer. No installation attached to my contractor number. The records manager generated a limited statement. 2 matching serials had appeared in prior service or removal records. No matching purchase order, installation ticket, startup report, warranty registration, or service acceptance connected those units to Wade's address through my company. The statement did not identify the former properties beyond internal work order references. I requested copies of the 2 redacted removal records. Elena approved release under ER 4418. Only then did the records manager export them. The first removal ticket included a photograph of the serial plate. Same number Dana had photographed behind Wade's cedar partition. A unit presented as new financing collateral had already accumulated service history before it entered the project. The second ticket showed the air handler plate. Same number. Removed during a renovation. No evidence my company had installed it at the duplex. I placed both redacted records beside the financing invoice. The premium units listed there had never appeared in the installed equipment. The installed units had histories the invoice did not disclose. At 12:21, I submitted the exact serials to the manufacturer's warranty department using the dispute reference created the previous day. The form allowed limited questions. Valid serial, model and production range, eligible for new equipment registration, prior warranty activation, no prior owner name, no address, no service details. The reply arrived at 2:07. All 4 serials were valid. 3 showed prior warranty activation. 1 was too old for current new equipment registration and had no active factory warranty. None matched the premium model numbers on Wade's financing invoice. The manufacturer could not provide previous owner identities. I did not ask. The response confirmed age, model, prior activation, and eligibility. Nothing more. I added it to the evidence table. Invoice claim: 2 premium variable speed systems sold as new. Installed record: older models. 3 previously activated serials. 1 serial ineligible for new registration. 2 units connected to prior employer removal or service history. No purchase or installation through my company. The chain did not fail because one database knew everything. It failed because each ordinary source refused to support the next step. Invoice model did not match plate. Plate did not match new equipment status. Supplier did not match territory. Permit did not match contractor account. Company records did not match purchase or installation. Wade had placed clean pages above disconnected parts and called the stack a system. At 2:34, I drove to the municipal records office. The clerk printed the public project history for the duplex. A general renovation inquiry had been opened. No mechanical permit issued. No equipment schedule authenticated through my account. No inspection request before Helen's safety review. 2 supporting sheets contained my contractor number, but the submission source was listed as applicant upload, not verified contractor portal. The clerk highlighted the distinction. This number appearing on a PDF does not mean your account submitted it. Can I obtain a certified account history statement? Yes. The statement showed no authenticated filing by Tessa Rowan, no permit fee paid through her contractor account, no inspection request initiated by her company, no project acceptance. The city could not determine who created the supporting sheets. It could determine they had not entered through me. At 3:18, I met attorney Marisol Chin in a small office above a tax preparation business. I had used her once for a customer contract dispute. She did not call Wade abusive, did not call Helen weak, did not predict who would win. She read the financing package, the municipal account history, the manufacturer letters, and the employer records statement. What outcome do you need immediately? She asked. My contractor number separated from future project use. Not final liability? That requires review. Good. She drafted a 1-page notice. No accusations. No theory about the family. The project address appeared at the top. My contractor number. Date. Then 4 statements. I did not authorize, purchase, supervise, install, commission, or accept the listed equipment. I withdrew any claim permission to use my contractor number, qualifying signature, business name, warranty authority, maintenance certification, or correction responsibility. I requested that no future permit, lender, buyer, supplier, or service submission rely on my identity without authenticated written consent. All future project demands and technical questions were to be directed through Marisol's office. I read it twice. Does this erase anything already attached? I asked. No. Does it decide the signature dispute? No. Does it stop a city or lender from reviewing me? No. It gives them a clear dated position and prevents silence from being presented as continuing consent. Exactly, I signed. Marisol witnessed the signature. Prepared copies for Municipal Inspector, Lender Representative, Wade. Private buyer? Only if the buyer was being asked to rely on my authorization. She gave me a stack of business cards. One card for your parents is enough. They will lose it. Then send the same contact in writing. Do I answer project messages after that? Not substantively. Preserve them. Forward them here.
What about Brooke?
A genuine personal safety issue is separate from a project demand. You are allowed to recognize the difference. That mattered. Wade had turned every financing question into Brooke's housing, every permit issue into Helen's health, every boundary into a family emergency. A formal channel did not require me to stop caring about them. It stopped him from using care as contractor authorization. At 4:11, I uploaded the new records to the lender's dispute portal. Municipal account statement.
Inspector's equipment identification receipt.
Manufacturer serial response. Manufacturer distributor territory confirmation. Employer limited records statement. Redacted removal tickets. Motographs of installed serial plates. Carton and packing slip photographs. Published shipping weights. Signed withdrawal notice. I wrote, the attached records show that the equipment installed at the project does not match the premium models represented in the financing package, that multiple installed serials were previously activated, that no authenticated mechanical permit or contractor acceptance was submitted through my account, and that I did not authorize use of my contractor number. The portal status changed. Contractor authority disputed. Equipment description under review. Additional release suspended. Not rescinded. Not cleared. Under review. I saved the page. At 4:26, Wade called. I let it ring. Then a message arrived. You signed a resignation from your own family? I forwarded it to Marisol. A second message. You cannot withdraw from a project after using your reputation to secure it. Forwarded. Third. Cody and Helen will confirm your supervision. Forwarded. Fourth. If Brooke loses the duplex, you will know exactly which paper caused it. I stopped reading after the preview. At 4:39, Cody called. Dad says you are making me the installer. I have not named you as installer. He says the city needs a responsible person. That person should be whoever arranged the work. You know I did not touch refrigerant. Then do not claim you did. You told Dad I was involved. I asked who coordinated labor. You are twisting this. Did you receive payments from the project? Silence. What does that have to do with equipment? I am asking because Wade says you will confirm supervision. I helped with business. What did he pay you to say? Cody ended the call. At 5:02, a message appeared in the family project thread. Wade. Friday review remains scheduled. Buyer and lender representative will inspect all remaining equipment. Municipal inspector will attend. Chessa will confirm technical continuity. I saved the message. Then replied once. I will attend to provide my written contractor withdrawal notice and answer limited questions concerning the serial, permit, and equipment records. Corinne responded, please arrive early. Your current field appearance undermines confidence. Wade added, wear the project polo. We need unity. I did not argue. He believed clothing could restore authorization. At 5:31, the lender representative confirmed attendance at the storage unit review. Purpose: inspect remaining financed equipment. Compare serial and shipping records. Confirm whether any further release could proceed. Dana Price confirmed municipal attendance because Wade had requested field verification of the boxed equipment and insisted the project could still obtain valid supervision. The private buyer accepted Wade's invitation. He wanted to inspect the equipment before purchasing any project interest. Every person in the corridor would be there because Wade had asked them to preserve his project. No one was being summoned to watch him fail. He was arranging the review himself. At Hector's shop, I laid the signed withdrawal notice beside Alma's gloves. The torn compressor label rested above it. One tube of concealer would join them Friday, according to Corinne. I looked at the evidence rows. Supply chain.
Serial history. Permit authority. Contractor consent. None complete on Wade's side.
All still under review. He had 2 days to produce an authorized distributor, valid premium serials, authenticated permit, startup records, and an independent licensed contractor willing to accept responsibility. Instead, he was preparing a polo shirt.
Helen called at 7:13 the next morning. Her voice was low. Your father says the lender sent me something.
What did they send?
A form asking whether I understand my guarantee.
Do you? I told you I signed an estimate paper.
Forward it to me. I don't know how.
Tessa,
her breathing changed. Not sharply, just enough for the old pattern to enter the conversation.
My chest is beginning again.
Do you want me to call medical help?
No.
Then put the papers down. We can stop. I need you to tell the lender this was all Wade.
I can tell them what the records show.
Why can't you say he tricked me? Because I was not there when you signed. You know your father. That is not a document. She remained quiet. Then the sound of paper moving crossed the line. I found the page I thought I signed. Photograph the front and back. The images arrived 4 minutes later. The first page was a property estimate acknowledgement. No financing amount. No contractor guarantee.
No retirement income section.
Helen's signature appeared near the bottom, beside language allowing an appraiser to enter the duplex. The second image showed the back, blank except for a scan mark from Wade's home printer. I compared the signature to the amendment inside the lender file. Same general shape, different scale.
The financing signature was slightly wider and carried the same small break in the final stroke visible on the estimate page.
The amendment had been created 6 days after Helen signed the property paper. I did not call it copied. Not yet. I uploaded both pages to the lender's secure dispute portal and wrote, Helen Rowan states she signed the attached property estimate acknowledgement. She disputes signing the later secondary guarantee amendment. Please compare the source documents and obtain direct confirmation from her. The lender opened a separate signature review request. Helen received her own contact link. No need for me to speak on her behalf after that. At 8:06, Cody sent me a message. Did you put my name in the permit complaint? No. Dad says the city may list me as installer. I told you yesterday that I did not identify you. He says somebody has to accept responsibility. That should be the person who arranged the installation. A typing indicator appeared. Disappeared. Returned. What exactly do they have? Serials, permit history, invoices, and the contractor documents. Do they have payment records? I looked at the question. What payment records? He did not answer. At 8:29, the lender portal added Wade's supplemental response. He had uploaded business expense summaries to prove the project had active management. One category read, Coordination Support, Cody Rowan, $300 each month, 6 payments. The summary did not prove why Cody had been paid. It proved Wade had described the payments as project expenses. I sent Cody a screenshot of the category. Is this yours? His reply arrived almost immediately. He paid me for meetings and calls. What did he ask you to do? Help explain the project. To whom? People. Inspectors. Another pause. Then Cody forwarded part of the project coordination thread. Not by mistake. Not the whole conversation. Only the section he believed protected him. Wade had written, If anyone asks, Tessa reviewed the units weekly, and Cody handled scheduling under her direction. Cody replied, She was only here twice. Wade answered, Do not split hairs. She provided mechanical oversight. A later message instructed Cody to tell the buyer that Tessa had selected the equipment before ordering. Cody wrote, She never saw it before delivery. Wade responded, She saw the specifications. I saved the messages with the thread name, participants, and timestamps. You knew the statements were wrong, I wrote. I knew Dad was simplifying. He paid you monthly. For coordination. To repeat that I supervised. I thought you had agreed privately. You watched me ask who installed the units. You always argue first,
That was Cody's explanation. My refusal had become a personality habit rather than information.
What changed? I asked.
Dad says you are trying to make me the unlicensed installer. I am not. He has a message saying I arranged the crew. Did you? I gave them access. Who were they? I don't know their company names. You let unknown workers install mechanical equipment beneath my contractor number. I thought Dad had their paperwork. The gifted son understood the business side until the business required names. Then he had only opened doors, made calls, repeated what Wade told him, collected $1,800. No ownership, no responsibility. At 9:04, Cody sent another image. This one came from a separate thread between Wade, Cody, and Corinne. Cody had captured it that morning after Wade demanded he attend the storage review. Corinne wrote, "The contractor withdrawal is the primary risk. What is the fallback?" Wade answered, "If Tessa refuses to restore authorization, Cody can be identified as the person who arranged the independent installation. He is not licensed, but that keeps the project activity separate from me while we locate a replacement contractor." Cody's reply beneath it, "You said I was business coordination." Wade responded, "You were paid to support the project. Do not become disloyal now." I read the exchange twice. Wade had not chosen Cody as heir. He had positioned him between the unapproved installation and himself. The same father who called my contractor number family property treated Cody's loyalty as disposable insulation. Cody called before I could respond. "Did you know?" "No." "He told me I was taking over development. He told the lender I was responsible contractor. Why would he put me under installation?" "Because my contractor authorization is disputed." "I never touched the systems." "Neither did I." Cody breathed into the phone. "What am I supposed to say tomorrow?" "The truth. That will destroy him." "No, it will identify what you did." "You make everything sound easy." "It is not easy." "Then help me." "I can tell the inspector I did not name you. I cannot tell them you did not arrange access if you did." He became quiet. "I thought Mom approved the loan. Helen believed she signed an estimate acknowledgement." "He told Corinne?" "Yes. He said Mom signed because she believed in the project." Cody gave a short, breathless laugh. Not amusement. Recognition arriving too late. "So nobody agreed?" Wade agreed. "And he put everybody else underneath it." "Yes." Cody ended the call without saying goodbye. At 10:21, Helen called again. The lender representative had spoken to her directly. They asked whether I understood that my retirement income was listed. "What did you say?" "No." "Did they ask for the estimate page?" "Yes." "Send it through their link." "I did." Her voice sounded tired. Not ill. Not theatrical. Tired. "Cody says Wade planned to blame him." "I saw the message." "He took money." "Yes." "He told me he was helping with photographs." The payments were listed as project coordination. Helen exhaled. "I defended both of them." "You did." "You could say something kinder." "I could say you were afraid." "I was trying to keep the family together." "What did keeping it together require?" "You know." "No." "Say it." She remained silent. I did not press. The lender had her documents. The corridor would have neutral officials. I no longer needed Helen to name the structure before she could survive seeing it. At noon, I returned to Hector's shop. He had cleared the same corner of the bench. The packaging evidence remained tagged and covered beneath brown paper. I placed Cody's messages beside the financing amendment. Hector was fitting a steel brace beneath a radiator core before moving it. He looked at the gloves under my arm. "Tomorrow?" "Yes." "You know what you are carrying?" "My notice. The serial records, the permit history." "Not what I asked." I looked at the core resting above the brace. "My own name." He nodded, then tightened the support. No speech about forgiveness. No instructions for Wade. No promise that Helen would understand. The clean corner of the bench was enough. At 1:42, Corrine sent a garment bag to my employer's front office. Inside was a fitted black polo embroidered with Rowan Legacy Climate. A note had been clipped to the collar. Please wear neutral undergarments. Hair should be controlled. No visible field equipment during buyer conversation. Elena Park read the note over my shoulder. You going? Yes. As their contractor? To withdraw that claim in writing.
Do you need someone from the company?
No, the company statement is already with the lender.
She looked at the polo.
You plan to wear that? Yes. Elena frowned.
Why?
Wade still thinks appearance means consent.
She did not like the answer. Neither did I.
But the corridor review existed because Wade believed he could place me beside boxed equipment and make every missing record feel technical rather than deliberate. If I arrived in my service shirt and corrected him at the entrance, he could postpone. Claim family conflict. Cancel buyer. Reschedule inspector. Move equipment. If I arrived early, accepted the polo, and allowed him to begin, every false claim would be made in front of the people who needed to evaluate it. The polo was not submission. It was the final unsupported page in his package. At 3:07, Wade sent the storage layout. Unit 118, boxed condensers. Unit 119, air handlers and controls. Unit 120, cedar materials and lounge furniture. Corridor staging, buyer table, inspection cart, project documents. He had arranged the remaining inventory as proof of collateral. The municipal inspector confirmed the review scope. Identify equipment presented as connected to the duplex project. Compare visible models and serials with existing submissions. Receive any contractor authority statement. No destructive opening of sealed equipment. No final permit determination in the corridor. The lender representative confirmed. Experts claimed financed items. Confirm possession and description. Accept contractor withdrawal documents. Determine whether any additional release could remain available during review. The buyer confirmed attendance because Wade had offered the box systems and furnishings as security for a private investment. Helen and Cody were included because Wade's invitation described them as family project witnesses. Corrine would manage presentation. Every person had been invited by Wade. Every purpose had been stated. No one was arriving to surprise him. At 6:12, Marisol called. I reviewed Cody's messages. Do they change my notice? No. Do I give them to the inspector? If asked, who claims supervision, provide the project thread. Give Cody the separate message about assigning him installation responsibility. Let him decide whether to provide it formally.
Why not submit it myself?
Because it concerns his potential responsibility and his conversation. Your separation does not require you to prosecute his position for him. The distinction mattered. I could show what Wade had said about my authority. I did not need to control Cody's response to being used. What about Helen's amendment? The lender already has both signature pages. Give Helen a clean copy at the review if Wade continues claiming she consented. And the buyer? Give the buyer your withdrawal notice only if Wade asks him to rely on your contractor number. He will. Then keep your statement narrow. Marisol paused. Do not say the project is invalid. It is under review. Do not say Helen's guarantee is void. Signature review is open. Do not say the equipment is stolen. The invoice chain does not match the installed serials. Good. The truth remained stronger when it stayed within its proper pressure. At 7:40 the next morning, I parked outside the storage complex. Long concrete building. Rows of blue roll-up doors. Fluorescent tubes visible through the open corridor entrance. Wade's truck stood near Unit 118. Corinne's white SUV beside it. The lender representative had not arrived. Neither had Dana Price or the buyer. Wade wanted me early for the transformation. Corrine opened the passenger door of her SUV. A portable mirror rested against the seat. Makeup bag. Hand cream. Lint roller. The black project polo hung from the door frame. You wore the service shirt, she said. I was told to change here. The restroom is inside the office. I took the garment bag.
Karine followed me to the corridor restroom carrying the makeup case. The polo fit too closely across my shoulders. The sleeves ended above the pale lines where years of sun and work shirts had marked my arms. When I returned, Wade looked me over. Better. My tool belt remained locked in the van. Alma's gloves were folded beneath my left arm. Corinne pointed toward a small, healed burn mark near my temple. That needs coverage. It is healed. It reads as rough. It is a burn mark. It reads as labor. I perform labor. Wade's voice came from behind her. Today, you represent leadership. Corinne opened a tube of concealer. I stood still. She pressed a small amount near my temple and blended it with one finger, then squeezed scented hand cream into her palm and smoothed the loose hair near my ear. Do not stand with your feet so wide, she said. That is how I balance while carrying equipment. You are not carrying anything today. Alma's gloves weighed beneath my arm. The signed withdrawal notice rested inside my document case. She was wrong. At 8:16, Wade led me to a wheeled storage cart. On its metal top sat torn compressor label, my contractor withdrawal notice inside a clear sleeve, Alma's heat-darkened gloves, Corinne's uncapped concealer tube. She picked up the tube. Do not leave presentation products beside dirty evidence. I looked at the arrangement. Her cosmetic, my mentor's gloves, Wade's supply chain break, the paper ending his use of my name. Leave it, I said. Corinne stared at me. Wade called from Unit 118. Tessa, buyer positioning. The storage door stood halfway open. Inside, boxed condensers had been arranged in 2 rows. Some cartons carried manufacturer logos. Others had blank replacement panels taped over shipping labels. Cedar boards stood vertically against the rear wall. A cart held custom ventilation grills. Wade had made the inventory look larger by keeping narrow gaps between every box. Confirm these are compatible with the project, he said. I will answer questions when the review begins. I need you aligned before they arrive. You invited me to provide technical continuity. Yes, I will provide a technical statement. He smiled. The distinction had not reached him. Cody entered the corridor at 8:27. No branded shirt, plain gray jacket. He stopped when he saw me wearing the project polo. You agreed? No. Wade appeared behind the equipment cart. She understands the importance of unity. Cody looked at my document case, then at the gloves. Do you have the message? Yes. Give it to me before we start. I handed him a printed copy of Wade's fallback plan. Cody read the first line. His mouth opened, closed. Wade walked toward us. What is that? Cody folded the paper. You plan to call me the installer, only if the records required clarification. I'm not licensed. You coordinated access. You said I was business development. Lower your voice. You were going to put this on me. Wade glanced toward the corridor entrance. Not here. You told Corinne. Family planning requires contingencies. Cody looked at me. He does this to everybody. I did not answer. The realization belonged to him. Helen arrived at 8:34 with Brooke. Wade immediately turned toward Brooke. You should not be here. She drove me, Helen said. This is a business review. It concerns the house she lives in. Brooke stood near the open exterior door, backpack over one shoulder. No project shirt, no role. I handed Helen a clean copy of the guarantee amendment and her estimate acknowledgement. Keep both. She took them. Her hand remained away from her chest. At 8:41, Dana Price entered, carrying the same tablet case. The lender representative arrived behind her with a rolling document bag. The private buyer came last, wearing a tan coat and carrying no tools. Wade moved toward them before anyone had fully stopped. Thank you for coming. Today we'll resolve the confusion around a successful family development project. He indicated Helen. Property support. Cody. Business coordination. Corinne, design leadership. Then me, licensed mechanical partner.
The corridor doors remained open at both ends.
Morning light entered from the exterior passage.
No one blocked an exit.
The lender representative looked at my black polo, then at the contractor number printed on Wade's project board.
Miss Rowan, are you here to confirm continuing responsibility for the equipment?
I placed Alma's gloves on the metal cart, beside the torn compressor label, beside the signed withdrawal notice. Corinne's concealer tube remained uncapped near the corner.
Wade answered for me. She is here to restore continuity. I slid the clear sleeve toward the inspector. Then the lender representative.
Thank you for waiting, I said.
The storage door rolled the rest of the way upward behind us. The municipal inspector looked down at the clear sleeve. Wade reached across the cart. Tessa, before you create another misunderstanding, I'll answer the question addressed to me. My voice stayed level. The same tone I used when a homeowner insisted the compressor had failed because I replaced the filter 6 months earlier. No heat. No invitation to argue. The lender representative removed the notice from the sleeve. Dana Price read over her shoulder. Wade stood close enough to see the first paragraph. His hand stopped above the cart. The buyer looked from the project logo on my polo to Alma's burned gloves. Are you withdrawing from the installation? He asked. I did not perform or authorize the installation. Wade exhaled through his nose. That is an unnecessarily rigid description of family collaboration. I turned toward the buyer. The project address is correct. My contractor number appears on the financing and supporting documents. I did not submit those documents through my authenticated account. The buyer touched one of the boxed condensers. Did you select this equipment? No. Did you inspect it before today? No. Did you guarantee installation? No. Wade stepped between the buyer and the cart. She provided technical guidance throughout development. Dana looked at him. Mr. Rowan, I'll allow each person to answer questions concerning their own authority. Wade's jaw tightened.
The lender representative pointed to the signature line on my notice.
For the record, what permissions are you withdrawing? I placed both hands loosely against the edge of the cart. Any claimed permission to use my contractor number, qualifying signature, business identity, maintenance certification, warranty authority, startup responsibility, or correction responsibility for this project. Corinne folded her arms. You are making this sound as though you were never involved. I maintained the original duplex furnace. I gave general advice about electrical capacity before construction. I did not purchase, install, commission, inspect, or accept the equipment represented in the financing package. Wade gave a short laugh. She stood inside the project and reviewed the invoices. After my number had already been used. That is still review. It is dispute review. The lender representative placed the notice into her document bag. Receipt acknowledged. This does not make a final determination concerning past liability, but no additional release can rely on Ms. Rowan's contractor authority while the dispute remains open. Wade lifted one finger. You cannot suspend a project because a daughter has become emotional. The representative looked at him. The release was already suspended because equipment description and contractor authority are under review. She created that review. She disputed her signature and authorization, which she supplied through years of family involvement. A history of repairing the property does not authenticate this financing package. Wade's finger remained raised for another second, then lowered. Dana entered the notice into her tablet. The municipal file will reflect that Tessa Rowan denies supervision and withdraws any continuing authorization connected to her contractor number. The project remains in administrative review until a responsible, licensed contractor, valid equipment schedule, and permit path are established. Established? Wade repeated. They already exist. Then provide them through the project channel. I brought the equipment. Dana looked toward the open storage unit. Equipment presence does not establish installation authority. The buyer stepped closer to the first pallet. Can we examine what is actually here? Wade recovered part of his posture. Yes,
That is why I arranged this review.
He moved toward the boxes.
Premium variable speed systems. Factory-compatible controls. Enough remaining inventory to complete the project and support expansion.
I opened the first evidence folder.
May I confirm the serials before the buyer relies on that description?
Wade looked over his shoulder.
You already submitted your little report.
The buyer answered instead. Yes. The first condenser carton had a manufacturer logo printed across both sides. A replacement shipping label covered part of the original panel. Dana photographed the exterior before anyone touched it. The lender representative read the invoice number from her file.
Wade cut the plastic strap.
Inside the carton sat a condenser cabinet wrapped in clear film.
The model label was visible through the plastic.
Not the premium model on the invoice.
Same manufacturer family. Lower capacity. Single stage. The buyer leaned forward. This is not variable speed.
Wade did not look at the label.
Compatible substitution. The lender representative checked the invoice. The financing request describes a matched premium system.
Supply conditions required flexibility.
Was the substitution disclosed?
The project remained within performance requirements.
That was not my question.
I placed the 2 screenshots on the storage cart.
Do not correct the model substitutions in front of the buyer. Once the release clears, we can reconcile the equipment schedule.
The first image preserved Wade's name, timestamp, and full notification preview. The second preserved the message's position beneath his storage photograph and the message removed placeholder.
Corinne moved toward the buyer.
The design value comes from the completed environment, not one mechanical designation. I spoke without looking at her. The invoiced premium condenser has a published shipping weight of 126 pounds. This carton's weight class is 78. Wade pointed toward the opened unit.
A carton can be reused.
Yes.
He looked almost relieved.
I continued.
That is why I did not treat the carton as proof. The installed serials, distributor confirmation, manufacturer data, and equipment presented here have to be compared separately.
The buyer glanced at Wade.
You told me the carton records match the invoices.
They match the project family, not the model.
Model variations are normal.
They are not normal when the financing price depends on premium equipment. Wade's face tightened.
I opened the manufacturer response. Their named supplier was not authorized to distribute this manufacturer in our territory during the invoice period.
Wade shook his head.
Manufacturers protect preferred distributors. Old relationships are not always listed.
The premium model had been discontinued 3 years before the invoice date.
Warehouse stock exists. The manufacturer stated it could not have been represented as new authorized regional stock through that supplier on that date.
Wade looked at Dana.
Is this a sales dispute or a permit inspection?
Dana answered, without raising her voice.
It concerns whether the equipment schedule supporting the project accurately identifies the systems.
Wade turned toward Cody. You coordinated the supplier conversations. Confirm the substitutions. Cody stood beside Unit 119 with Wade's fallback message folded in his jacket pocket. I coordinated access. You spoke to the crews.
I opened the garage. You reviewed deliveries.
I was told not to open the boxes. Wade stared at him. Do not become confused now. Cody's face hardened. I'm not confused. Corinne stepped between them.
The buyer does not need family process details.
The buyer said, I need to know who purchased the equipment, Wade answered. The project entity. What entity? Rowan Legacy Climate. Who owns it? A family partnership. The lender representative opened the financing file. The application identifies Tessa Rowan as company owner and responsible contractor. I raised one hand slightly. I did not create or own that entity. Wade looked at Helen. Tell them this was a family project. Helen held the 2 signature pages I had given her. It was your project. You approved it. I approved an estimate. You signed the financing amendment. Helen lifted the pages.
This is what I signed.
She showed the property estimate acknowledgement.
Then the guarantee amendment.
The lender is comparing them.
Wade's voice sharpened. You knew the project required financing. I did not know my retirement income was listed. You knew we were protecting the duplex. I knew you said an appraiser needed access. You are allowing Tessa to rewrite your memory. Helen placed the pages on the cart beside my resignation notice. The dates are 6 days apart. The lender representative looked at the documents. Our signature review is active. Mrs. Rowan's guarantee has not been accepted as confirmed while that review continues. Wade spread both hands. This is what happens when people become frightened by paperwork. Helen looked at him. You told me it was an estimate. It was part of the estimate process. You listed my income for household qualification. My household. Our family. You do not live there. The corridor went quiet. Wade's face changed. The phrase had reached him twice now. First at the duplex, now in front of the buyer. He turned toward Cody again. Tell them Helen understood the financing. Cody did not move. Dad, tell them. You told me she guaranteed everything. She did. She says she didn't. She is panicking because Tessa has made this hostile. Cody pulled the folded message from his pocket. What about this? Wade recognized it before Cody unfolded the page. That is internal contingency planning. You plan to name me as the installer. Only if the project required a responsible coordinator. I'm not licensed. You arranged the crew. You told me I was development. You were paid to support the project. $300 a month to repeat that Tessa supervised. Helen turned toward Cody. You took money? I thought she had agreed. You saw her asking who installed the systems. Dad said she always challenged things before signing off. Wade pointed at him. Exactly. Cody looked at the finger, then at the buyer, then at Dana. I opened the garage for workers. I did not hire them under my name. I did not handle refrigerant. I did not submit permits. Wade's voice rose. You were part of the project. I was business coordination. You cannot take the benefits and abandon responsibility. Cody gave a breathless laugh. You were going to put responsibility on me if her signature failed, because you were the one who allowed access. You told me to. A son should know what family duty requires. The words left Wade's mouth before he saw what they had become. The same sentence structure, different child. Helen looked at Cody. How long did you know the invoices were not right? I didn't know. You told inspectors she visited weekly. No inspector asked me yet. You were prepared to say it. Dad said it was true enough. Wade stepped between them. Stop. No one did. Helen held up the amendment. You put my income here. Cody held the fallback message. You put installation on me. I placed the contractor notice between the two documents. He put authority on me. 3 records. 3 different people. One project Wade continued calling Family Unity. Corinne closed the concealer tube. This meeting is becoming vindictive. The buyer looked at her. You presented this as clean collateral. It is visually complete. The boxes do not match the invoice. The mechanical package can be adapted. By which contractor? Corinne looked at me. I answered before she could use the polo. Not me. Wade placed both hands flat against the storage cart. Dana looked up. Mr. Rowan. He drew his hands back. His voice rose instead. This entire project exists because I carried this family when nobody else could. Helen flinched. Cody stepped away from him. Wade pointed toward me. I paid for her first tools. I gave her customers. I let her store equipment at my property. That license did not descend from the sky. It also did not become yours, I said. You were raised to honor your parents. A family relationship does not authenticate a permit. You always hide behind rules. The permit office found no authenticated submission from my account. You advised the project. General advice does not create supervision. You inspected the invoices. After the financing package reached me,
You touched the equipment, not before the municipal inspection. You are splitting words to destroy your own father.
I kept my hands on the cart. Speaking louder will not restore the serial history. He stepped closer.
It will not make the distributor authorized.
Another step.
It will not create a permit. His voice climbed over mine. You do not tell me what family means.
I am not evaluating family. I turned toward Dana. Is any additional technical statement required from me concerning the permit record?
Dana checked her notes. I need confirmation that the serial photographs submitted yesterday are the same units documented at the duplex.
Yes.
And that your company did not purchase or install them according to its limited record search? Yes. The company's statement is attached under request ER 4418. She nodded. No further technical statement at this stage. Wade looked at the lender representative. You cannot rely on her employer. She controls those records. My employer's records manager performed the search, I said. The release carries an internal request number. She works there. The statement confirms only what the company's records contain and ignores independent installers. Yes. The answer stopped him briefly. I continued. It does not prove no other installer touched the equipment. It proves your application named my company and my contractor authority, while neither has an installation record for this project. The lender representative closed the file. That distinction is noted. Wade turned toward the buyer. This is temporary. Tessa can restore authorization after family discussion. No, I said. You are angry. I signed a withdrawal notice with counsel. You will reconsider. Future project demands go through the attorney listed on the notice. Helen looked at me. An attorney? I removed one of Marisol's business cards, placed it beside her signature pages. This is the contact for financing, contractor responsibility, equipment claims, and project access. You are giving your mother a lawyer's card? I am giving both of you the formal contact. Wade took the card before Helen could. He read Marisol's name, then tore it once across the center. The pieces fell onto the cart. I removed a second card from the stack, placed it beside them. Destroying the card does not change the contact. The buyer looked toward the corridor exit. I am not purchasing an interest in this inventory while equipment description, contractor authority, and guarantee signatures are disputed. Wade moved toward him. You have not seen Unit 120. I have seen enough to know the collateral description is unreliable. The cedar alone has value. Then sell it as cedar. It is part of an integrated project without a verified contractor. Wade pointed at me again. She is the contractor. The lender representative spoke before I did. Her authority is disputed and expressly withdrawn for future reliance. Because she is disloyal. Because she filed a signed notice. Wade looked at Dana. You are allowing a family argument to stop permitted work. There is no active mechanical permit. I submitted the number. You uploaded supporting pages containing a contractor number. The verified account did not submit them. Technicality. Authentication. The word echoed beneath the fluorescent lights. Not loudly. Cleanly. Wade's face reddened. He turned toward Helen. Tell them we agreed. I did not agree to my income being used. Tell them Tessa supervised. She says she didn't. Tell them Cody arranged the installation. Cody stepped back. No. Wade looked from one person to another. The language of parental authority had nowhere neutral to land. Dana was not his daughter. The lender representative did not owe him gratitude. The buyer had not been raised beneath his roof. Every sentence about sacrifice only clarified that the signatures and supervision had not been obtained through ordinary consent. Wade's hands opened and closed at his sides. You are all standing here because of what I built. The buyer looked into the storage unit. You arranged boxes. Corinne inhaled sharply. Wade turned on her. You selected the equipment presentation. I arranged visual continuity. You told me these units could support the financing. I relied on your supplier documents.
You said Tessa would come around. You said she had already agreed. The alliance thinned by the sentence. Cody held out the fallback message.
Helen held out the amendment. Corinne pointed toward Wade's invoices. Each person had a document showing why responsibility belonged somewhere else. The lender representative rolled her document bag toward the exit. Additional release remains suspended. We will request full purchase, delivery, serial, and installer records through the review portal. Wade followed her. How long? That depends on the records provided. The buyer is here now. The buyer's decision is separate. You are collapsing a project over paperwork. You are reviewing whether the financed equipment and contractor authority match the application. Dana entered her final note. Municipal administrative review remains open. No mechanical work should continue until a valid permit path and responsible contractor are established. Can I hire another contractor? You may submit one through the ordinary process. What happens to the work already completed? It must be evaluated under that permit path. Who pays for corrections? That is not being decided in this corridor. Wade looked at me. You hear that? You are leaving your mother with an unfinished project. The project was unfinished before I arrived. You could fix it. I could also accept a debt I did not create. After everything I gave you. My contractor number is not repayment for being raised. He stepped close enough that I could smell the cedar oil on his shirt. You walk out now? You are no daughter of mine. The sentence did not produce the reaction he expected. Maybe because it had already been written into the financing package. Daughter when labor was needed. Contractor when liability arrived. Stranger when consent mattered. I folded Alma's gloves once and placed them beneath my arm. Then retrieved another attorney card. I gave one to Helen, one to Wade. Cody asked for one too. I handed it to him. Wade looked at the card as though it were an insult. It was contact information. Nothing more dramatic. The buyer left first. Dana followed after, confirming she had copies of the withdrawal notice and serial table. The lender representative paused near the open exterior door. Miss Rowan, your dispute remains active. Do not represent the guarantee as finally removed until written determination is issued. Understood. Wade heard her. You see? Your name is still on it. Under review. Then you have not accomplished anything. The additional release is suspended. For now, yes. The truth did not need to outrun the process. I looked at the project polo Corinne had chosen. Black fabric. Embroidered family name. A polished surface above Alma's scarred gloves. Then I faced Wade. My authorization to use the contractor number is withdrawn. Your equipment claim is suspended, and I have another rooftop call before dark, so all future demands can go through the attorney whose card I just gave you. I removed the project polo in the storage office restroom. The concealer remained near my temple. I did not scrub it off. Not there. I put on my stained service shirt. Alma's gloves returned to the side pocket of my tool bag. Outside, the afternoon sun reflected from the windshield of my used truck. My next customer had a heat pump losing capacity during defrost. Real address. Real serial. Real service call. Behind me, Wade's voice rose again inside the concrete corridor, demanding Helen confirm agreement, demanding Cody remember loyalty, demanding Corinne explain the supplier. None of the officials remained to translate volume into authority. I closed the truck door, forwarded Wade's first direct message to Marisol without opening the full thread, then drove toward the rooftop call. The lender did not remove my name because I spoke clearly in the storage corridor. It took 12 business days. During that time, the financing portal continued to show contractor authority disputed, equipment description under review, additional release suspended. I checked once each morning before my first service call. No more. The first review compared the signature on Wade's financing package to the authenticated permit signatures stored inside my contractor account. The shapes were similar. The submission paths were not. My genuine signature had entered through a verified account after identity confirmation. Wade's package contained an image placed onto uploaded documents. No authenticated contractor acceptance existed behind it. The second review compared the financed equipment to the systems documented at the duplex and the boxes presented in the storage corridor. Premium variable speed models appeared on the invoices. Older two-stage and single-stage equipment appeared in the photographs. 3 installed serials had prior warranty activation. 2 matched limited service or removal records from my employer. No premium serial listed on the financing package had entered the duplex through my company. The third review compared the project's claimed supplier to the manufacturer's regional records. The supplier had not been authorized to distribute that manufacturer in our territory during the invoice period. The premium model had been discontinued 3 years before the invoice date. No valid new equipment chain connected the invoice to the installed systems. On the 12th morning, the portal changed. Contractor guarantee removed. Business ownership not established. Warranty responsibility none. Correction responsibility none. The $58,700 no longer appeared beneath my contractor identity. I printed the determination and placed it behind my original license certificate. Then I drove to a split-level house where a heat pump had begun tripping its breaker during defrost. The homeowner met me in the driveway. Is this going to be expensive? I need to test it first. Real question. Real equipment. No one asked whether the license belonged to my family before it belonged to me. Helen's guarantee required a separate review. The lender compared the property estimate acknowledgement she remembered signing with the later financing amendment. The estimate page had been scanned through Wade's home printer. The amendment used a resized image of the same signature. Helen had never completed the retirement income disclosure attached to it. The lender contacted her directly, twice. She answered without me on the line. Her guarantee was removed 6 days after mine. When she called, she did not say thank you. She said, "They believe me." They accepted the document comparison. You always correct the emotional part. I'm telling you what happened. I was frightened. I know. Your father said the project would protect the house. He placed your income under it. He believed the buyer would solve everything. That did not give him your signature. Helen became quiet. Then the old sentence arrived, in a softer form. I kept thinking if I endured one more thing, the family would stay intact. I sat in my service van outside the split-level house. The manifold cable rested inside its old lunch container beside me. What stayed intact? I asked. She did not answer. I did not force one. The lender had removed her guarantee. The rest belonged to choices she still had to make. The municipality's review stayed open longer. Wade attempted to hire another contractor after the storage meeting. The first contractor withdrew after inspecting the installed equipment and asking for purchase records. The second offered to create a correction plan, but refused to accept responsibility for the original installation. Eventually, Wade submitted the actual equipment list, not the premium invoice models. The systems physically present at the duplex. The city required a new mechanical permit, electrical review, service clearance corrections, drain modifications, a ventilation assessment for the cigar lounge, inspection of the decorative screening that restricted condenser airflow. None of those requirements attached to my account. Wade filed a complaint claiming I had abandoned an active installation and created a safety risk by withdrawing supervision. The complaint contained his project address, the date he said construction began, his admission that equipment had been installed before authenticated mechanical approval. The municipality compared his statement to my account history. No permit submitted by me, no inspection request initiated by my company, no equipment registration connected to my contractor portal. My withdrawal notice did not document abandonment. It documented that the supervision Wade claimed had never been authorized. The city added his complaint to the existing review. He had supplied another dated record confirming unapproved work existed. Marisol sent me the determination. Her email contained one sentence: "No action is required from you."
I saved it, then returned to work. After both disputed guarantees were removed, the lender pursued Wade and the project entity for the remaining financed balance. Marisol reviewed the proposed terms only to ensure that no clause restored liability to Helen or me. Wade then entered a written civil repayment agreement. The agreement involved what Wade actually owned, not what the invoices claimed existed. He authorized the sale of the remaining cedar cabinetry, lounge furniture, decorative grills, boxed controls, and mechanical equipment that could be documented as his property. Corinne surrendered 2 refundable design deposits after Wade disputed her invoices, and she produced messages showing he had approved each purchase. The private buyer did not return. The sale proceeds reduced the financing balance. The remainder entered a repayment schedule tied to Wade's disclosed income. The settlement did not restore his reputation. It did not punish physical labor. It assigned the remaining costs to the person who had created and directed the project. Helen withdrew written permission for Wade to use the duplex as a project address. The notice came from Marisol's office because Helen did not trust herself to deliver it without accepting another explanation. Wade could visit only by arrangement. He could not store equipment in the garage, could not conduct buyer meetings, could not list the property as a business location. Brooks Housing was placed in a simple written occupancy agreement, independent of Wade's project and independent of my contractor number. For the first time, her room was not a threat someone could hold beside my license. Cody provided the project messages to the lender and municipality. He acknowledged that Wade had paid him $300 per month for scheduling, photographs, and presentation support. He also stated that he had never held himself out as a licensed installer before Wade's fallback message appeared. That did not erase the statements he had agreed to repeat about my supervision. It separated what he had done from what Wade had planned to place beneath his name. Cody called me once after the review. I lost the supplier position. I was replacing a blower motor and held the phone between my shoulder and ear. Why? They said I represented project locations that were not active. Were they? No. He waited. Perhaps for me to say Wade had caused everything. Perhaps for me to say Cody had only wanted approval. I thought I was learning the business side, he said. You were paid to protect the story. I know that now. The blower wheel turned freely after I tightened the motor bracket. Cody continued. Dad says you destroyed both of us. Your messages show what you agreed to say. You could sound less satisfied. I'm not satisfied. What are you? Working. I ended the call after the motor started. The wheel reached full speed. Air moved through the duct. A real output attached to a real action. 41 days after Wade told me that a decent daughter would place family duty above her license, he reported to the Building Products Returns Warehouse before sunrise. The civil repayment schedule required verified employment income. A former supplier contact helped him obtain an opening in returns processing. Not management. Not sales. The work itself was not a punishment. Warehouse workers had protected supply chains long before Wade tried to invent one. They checked labels, matched weights, motograph damage, rejected incomplete returns. The first week, Wade submitted 3 pallet descriptions without complete serial photographs. His supervisor returned each sheet. On the 41st day, Wade stood beneath the warehouse time clock while the split toes of his expensive shoes exposed his socks. A scratched air handler carton waited beside him. The supervisor enlarged Wade's label photograph. Too blurry. The number is written on the form. We need the label. Wade took the photograph again. This time, he wiped dust from the plate first. Held the phone steady. Captured every digit. The pallet moved only after the supervisor approved the image. That closed the interval I showed you at the beginning. Not because Wade had been reduced by warehouse work, because the work required the precision he had spent years dismissing as small-minded. Several weeks later, he entered an HVAC supply counter wearing his old sales jacket.
My apprentice Nia happened to be there, purchasing drain fittings under our company account.
3 technicians waited ahead of her.
Wade walked toward the front and raised one finger.
I know the former regional manager.
The clerk looked at the account display. Next number is 47.
Nia held 47. She stepped forward. The clerk helped her compare trap sizes and condensate fittings.
Wade named another former contact. The clerk continued serving the account number on the screen. No one laughed. No one confronted him. The counter simply operated by the same order for everyone. Nia mentioned it later because she recognized my last name on Wade's old jacket. I asked whether she received the correct fittings. Yes. That was the only part of the story connected to my work. After the financing determination, Wade sent 7 direct messages in 2 days. The first demanded that I repair the duplex systems at cost. The second said Helen's housing remained my responsibility. The third claimed Cody had misunderstood his role. The fourth asked me to certify only the ventilation portion. The fifth called Marisol an outsider. The sixth quoted a passage about honoring parents. The seventh said, a true daughter would answer the phone. I forwarded each message without responding. Marisol sent Wade and Helen a written communication notice. All questions concerning financing, equipment responsibility, permits, warranty, project access, correction work, contractor authority had to go through her office. Helen called from a different number. This is not about the project. What happened? Your father wants to retrieve personal papers from the garage. That is project access. You could just meet him. Send the request to Marisol. He is still your father. I know who is. You are making family communication impossible. No, I am making project demands formal.
What if I need help?
With what? She hesitated. The furnace. Is it not heating? It is heating. Then schedule ordinary service if it fails. Through your lawyer? Through my company, like any customer. The project remains separate. She ended the call. The boundary was not silence. It was classification. A genuine heating failure could become a service request. A financing demand could not wear the same coat and enter through the kitchen. 2 weeks later, I went to the duplex for my remaining tools. Helen had moved Wade's cedar samples away from the rear garage wall. My cases were visible again. Electrical kit, recovery machine, vacuum pump, copper tools, the old lunch container holding the repaired manifold cable. Brooke waited near the interior door. Mom says you're moving the tools. Yes. Are you moving too? I signed a lease on a small place. Is it far? 20 minutes. She looked toward the driveway. Wade's truck was not there. Dad says the family can still fix itself. I hope everyone fixes what belongs to them. Does that include you? Yes. I carried the first case outside. A used white service van stood near the curb, 6 years old. Scratches along one rear panel. Shelves installed inside by the previous owner. I had paid the deposit from ordinary savings after the financing disappeared from my name. No family contribution. No project logo. My contractor number appeared only on the company documents stored in the locked front cabinet. Helen came into the garage while I lifted the recovery machine. You could leave some tools here. No. For emergencies. The furnace has a service company. You are the service company. I am not on call for the house. She pressed her lips together. Wade says Marisol refused his last request. She asked for equipment ownership records. He does not have all of them. That is why she refused. Helen watched me secure the machine inside the van. You sound exactly like Alma. I know. She taught you not to trust family. She taught me not to sign equipment I had not touched. That is not the same thing. No. I returned to the garage. The final tool case sat beneath the workbench. Alma's gloves rested on top. Heat-darkened fingertips. Smooth palms. flux caught deep in one cuff.
I placed the gloves on the passenger seat before lifting the case. Wade entered the driveway as I closed the rear van door.
He stopped beside Helen, work shoes replaced by steel-toe boots now, reflective vest folded inside his truck.
He looked at the van. "You bought this while I'm under repayment."
"I bought it with my income."
"You would not have those customers without me. Future business demands go through Marisol."
"I'm speaking as your father."
"Then do not ask about the project."
His face tightened.
"You think a lawyer changed what you owe this family?"
I took a card from the van's center console, held it toward him.
"You already have the contact."
He did not take it. Helen did. Wade looked at the closed rear doors. All those tools were stored under my roof. They are mine. I gave you space, and I repaired the property. You always keep a private total.
"No."
I opened the driver's door. "I stopped letting you keep one for me." He stepped toward the van, but did not touch it. Helen held Marisol's card between both hands. Brooke remained in the doorway. I sat behind the wheel. Alma's gloves lay on the passenger seat. The final tool case was secured against the rear shelf. Before starting the engine, I looked once at the legal contact notice clipped inside the console. No confession required. No family vote. No permission. I did not need Wade to admit that he had used obedience as a substitute for consent. I did not need Helen to rename endurance as fear or Cody to explain what $300 had purchased. Their version could remain in the file. My license, name, and labor were no longer available as the structural support beneath it. Wade said something through the closed window. I did not hear the full sentence. Family. Sacrifice. After everything. The same words, now without access to my contractor number. I started the van. Helen stepped away from the curb. Brooke lifted one hand. I returned the gesture, then pulled into the street. I did not turn my head toward the duplex. At the first red light, I rested Alma's right glove over my hand on the steering wheel. The leather was stiff, heavy, darkened where real work had touched it. Behind me, the tool cases remained locked against the shelves. Ahead, my afternoon schedule showed 2 accepted calls, a rooftop airflow complaint, a heat pump startup inspection, real addresses, Othan work orders, equipment I would touch before placing my name beneath it. The light changed. I drove forward.